Join us Sunday, July 13th for the MLB Draft Show. Hosted by Rogelio Castillo and Chris Brown. We'll be featuring guests Ashley C., Scott Bentley of Locked On Tigers, and Nick Koloff of Woodward Sports. We'll be drafting live picks number 24, 34, and 62. And we'll be talking baseball for 3+ hours. Find us on YouTube at Tigers Minor League Report, as live coverage will start at 6 p.m. Please subscribe to the Tiger Minor League Report YouTube channel or watch us streaming live on Twitter.
That's right. And Uper and Pap. Pap, are you going to be there Sunday?
I don't know. Yeah, we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to figure out your rule with everything this year. If you're going to do kind of like we did last year, kind of a quarterback produced thing. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But welcome to another episode of the Most Metrics podcast here at TigersMLReport.com. I'm Rogelio Castillo. Alongside me is Uper, Chris, and Mike. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or listen to podcast. And thank you again for subscribing, rate, going a long way. Like our YouTube channel, Motor Metrics or Tiger Minor Report, either or, just goes a long way. And yeah, we're looking forward to Sunday. We'll be broadcasting live for until the 60-second pick. And then we're glad for punishment. We'll be doing the Minor League Report podcast on Monday. So find out if I can jump in the pool again. I know I got to figure that part out. Does the weather look good already, Chris, for Sunday? Do you know?
You know what? I haven't even looked.
Sunday looks okay. Tomorrow and Saturday are stormy.
Sketchy.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I wonder. Well, right now I'm seeing 50% chance of rain on Sunday.
No.
Yeah.
That's according to the Apple weather app.
Yeah, Apple weather app is not the most accurate one.
Yeah.
It's,
I normally go with the radar to see what's going on, but I don't trust the radar from like 3 days from now. So
yeah.
whatever.
So tonight's show we'll be talking draft heavy a little bit. We'll be doing kind of a pre-draft show, and we'll be talking series against Tampa. They now have the big dumper, and Cal Raleigh coming into town tomorrow for a 3-game series. At Seattle, you have another wild card test, as Mariners have done pretty well. And then there was a stat about Cleveland that I'll get to that I was showing Chris that I'm surprised you guys with later on, that Cleveland may not necessarily be out of this yet because we're in July and we still have time. And after that, like after Monday, essentially, or after the draft, it's going to be trade season time. So we'll be definitely talking trade talk at some point as well. And plenty to get to, but Uper Uper knows how to push my buttons quite a bit. I will say that in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. But so the Tigers they have Jose. How to say this gentleman's last name? The starter for Houston. Urquidy. Jose Urquidy is got a locker room and looks like he's going to start his rehab soon. So the Tigers will probably get a starter by adding that, coming back, and which like they were yesterday. AJ Hinch were bringing that Alex Cobb. Yeah, Wu was throwing no hitter against the Yankees. Yeah, Pap is watching that game right now, so we'll be keeping an eye on the Yankees getting no hit, and we'll laugh and have a good time with that. But
yay!
Yeah, but so we're talking about AJ Hinch made some comments about Cobb and some of the frustrations and everything, and so Uper notices on his Facebook feed that Motor City Bengals comes up quite a bit on there, and they're complaining about Cobb constantly. Well, here's the premise, folks. If you're going to write about something, if you're going to write about baseball, know your stuff, okay? Stop complaining that they're burning $15 million. Yes, it was a bad signing. Did they know he had hip problems then? No. Did he know they had a lot of injury problems? Absolutely, no doubt. But can you elaborate? Can you expand on your point instead of writing clickbait bullshit? Go for it. Do me my guess. I'm sure there's some really good people over there. I understand that, but I'm sorry, and I'm not being. I'm stuck being a gatekeeper, and I'm not. But I'm gonna call a spade. Knock it off. I mean, who am I to say anything about anything? You write whatever you want, fine. But I'm just saying, like.
Well, we think about Alex Cobb, and they write about it continually that it was a big waste, and. Yeah, he may not pitch this year, and it will be a waste if you want to call it that. But just to keep harping on it on a weekly basis, if not more, is a little tiresome. And the only reason I say that is because let's make a list of teams that blew $15 million this year. Okay. There's going to be a bunch of them. B, it's not the teams in first place. That's another one. But the biggest thing to me is it's not like that $15 million has precluded the Tigers from doing anything. They have a very low payroll. They can make any move they desire. So if they're wasting $15 million of Chris Ilitch's money, okay, that's fine. I think maybe that's worth one or two mentions here and there, but the relentless drumbeat gets a little old.
I think, but you really have to consider the fact that the damage it's done to the Tigers pitching staff this year. I'm looking right now; they have the third best ERA.
Yeah.
So who the hell cares? It's funny to make fun of it, I guess. Alex Cobb is doing no harm by not pitching.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have helped. They're doing just fine. And it's not going to keep them from going and adding another arm down the stretch. It's not going to keep them from doing anything. They're not going. Well, we can't add 15 million. They're fine. Yes. Everything's fine. You don't even need to talk about Alex Cobb other than like I don't know the nature of his injuries if you want to. But whatever. I guess you gotta. Maybe negativity sells online. I don't know. We don't subscribe to that kind of theory. We try to tell it like it is at the Tigers Minor League Report, where we, if there's something good going on, we try to figure out, hey, why are these good things happening? And if players aren't performing, we go, what's the problem here? But I don't know. Maybe just being relentlessly negative gets people to click on you just to get frustrated at you.
Yeah.
Or to get your slides show going or something to that effect. But look, here's the thing. Like we wrote about Zach McKinstry working on his batting angle, and now he's an all-star. There's things you can write if you pay attention instead of just constantly complaining about something. Like I mean, I complain about things all the time. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite about this, but it's just, yeah. As soon as you brought that up, and then I looked at the article, it's just like, yeah, enough. Like the site can do so much better. The site is capable of so much better, but they're not. And yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I disagree with how they run things, and that's not my bag anymore. So I don't care. I mean, I care. Obviously, I'm saying something about it, but my point is simply this:
we have the history there, so we're allowed to comment. That's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. I can say whatever I want, and it's a free country, and the Tigers are. I'll take problematic. Yeah, I'll take the 15 million, and they should get the 15 million. There's a lot of things they could have done with the 15 million. They could have given it to,
Well, I mean, anytime there's any kind of free agent signings, some work out, some don't. You can look back in the middle of the season and go, man, they should have given that to Matthew Boyd. Look how good he's been. He's an all-star. Yeah. What do you think the fans would have said at the time if they had signed Matthew Boyd again?
Yeah,
people would have lost their minds. It's sometimes these things work out. Sometimes they don't work out for 3 years. Javi Baez was the worst player ever. All we talked about over the last couple of years was like, oh, they're going to cut him now. Wait, they're going to wait another year to cut him. Oh, now they're going to cut him. And suddenly he's like, oh, wait, starting all-star. Baseball's weird and funny. And I guess, we like to complain about things, but we also don't know anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody knows anything.
I mean,
the big news of the week was Frankie the Bat Boy.
Oh, I thought it was John C. Riley yesterday. That was really cool to see. That was really cool to see, by the way. John C. Riley throwing the first pitch and then singing to Jack White, "Happy Birthday." Like that is, Jack White's like a dream podcast guest. Like he's been on my top 5 like non-baseball people to have on my podcast. Chris and I reached out to those people a few years ago to have him on the podcast, and they politely were like, "He's a little busy," and that's okay. But Jack White, just to talk to Jack White about baseball. Like pure, like I wouldn't ask him anything about his music. I would just seriously go, so Jack, just a quick question for you. What do you think Dylan Dingler going more for singles than in home runs? And what do you think about his approach at the plate? Because I would love to hear Jack White's opinion about it, because I think he has really strong baseball takes, and I love his music, don't get me wrong, but I love to sit down and talk to Jack White for
that'd be cool.
If he gave me 10 minutes of his time to talk about prospects too. So, yeah.
Yesterday, I got pulled away during the John C. Riley interview. Was he there solely as Jack White's friend, or is he actually a Tigers fan?
No, he didn't know. He didn't even know it was called Comerica Park. Really, he
Okay.
he seems just as weird as he does in a lot of his movies.
Or
Yeah, he
Between
said
the Ferns? Is it between? No, not Between the Ferns.
no.
Was that show he did on Cartoon Network? The
Oh, it was, Dr.
Dr.
Steve
Steve
Brule.
Brule, check it
Yeah.
out. I love that
That
show.
was so good.
It
So
is.
good.
Yeah, and he's a fantastic. He's been in so many good movies. Go back to Boogie Nights. And
He played
but
a
yeah,
Tiger
he's just
catcher.
yeah, that's in For Love of the Game. I think that's he was wearing that guy's jersey, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just funny hearing how he became friends with Jack White. And I forgot what they said, but then he said they really became friends from Walk Hard. And
Yeah.
I had forgotten how funny Jack White's part in that was.
Yeah.
It's just like a throwaway 45 seconds of him being like a super weird, dosed up Elvis,
Yeah.
mumbling and like doing karate. He's like, only few people know those. It's Chinese people and me. Ha!
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. And I don't know if Jack White has done any other acting other than that.
Well, there's a great story. My brother helped. So my brother moved an arcade. Jack White was at home, but he moved a old arcade machine or something when Jack White lived in Detroit. And apparently, he used to play baseball every Sunday with his friends, like in his giant ass backyard. And that'd be like that's to me like the ultimate ball of Alice. Like Jack White invited you to play pickup baseball. Can you imagine that? Like
cool.
you're so nervous to go up there. You know, like I play softball with some some people that are like writers and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. And I don't think twice about it. But imagine Jack White coming out there and he's throwing you like a changeup. You're like, man, like, I don't know. It just,
Jack White was dealing.
yeah. Like, one time I met Greg Kelser and I said, oh man, I really enjoyed you at UAD, knowing full well I went to Michigan State. I'm like, I would have that nervous, like, like the same thing when I met Alan Trammell. I'm like, I know all his stats. All of a sudden I'm like, do you remember when you played AA Montgomery? And he's looking, yep. And I'm like, ah. Anyway. Yeah, but my point is like, yeah, I know, I know we're the show's a little loose tonight because it's an off night for the Tigers, A, and B, the draft is coming up, so we're going to be draft heavy. But I mean, I do want to talk about the series a little bit because the Tigers got the Rays are a very, very good team. There's a lot of good players as far as like just kind of annoying guy. I don't want to say annoying, but guys that are really, really good at making good contact. And I felt that the Tigers played really 3 pressure cooker type games.
Yeah, they couldn't get Aranda out. It seemed like he was doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, they are. Tampa is always doing something interesting, and right now, yeah, it does seem like they've just built this team of contact hitters. And along with that, you've got Caminero and Aranda who have plenty of power. And Yandy Diaz hits the ball really hard too. But Jake Mangum was never considered much of a pro prospect. He was kind of royalty at Mississippi State, I think it was. I think he's their all-time leader in hits. And we were talking about it the other day. I think it was our buddy Joe was trying to come up with scenarios for the draft. And one he was playing around with was the idea that you could blow your whole budget on a couple of players. And he was trying to remember when that happened. And I had forgotten about that, but the Mets did that one year where they took 3 high school kids. They didn't have a whole much of a bonus. They took 3 high school kids up top and then spent $20,000 or less on their next 7 picks, I think it was. And one of those picks was Mangum. Nothing was ever really considered to happen there. And I think the Rays, they traded for him or they got him in the Rule 5 or something. And now he's up in the big leagues and producing. And it's they're always finding some little edge, and certainly an annoying team, but they were not playing as well as they were when the Tigers faced them down in Tampa, and the Tigers did the job of the first 2 games. They won the series. We always want to get greedy, see them finally stretch a winning streak to 6 games, but it just didn't. It didn't happen, and it was close. And then Chase Lee kind of gave up the ghost there. I don't know. Some people were speculating that he was tipping or something because it was just every single pitch he threw got walloped.
They were jumping on the first pitch a lot, right? I mean, early in counts. And unfortunately, the one thing that's not mentioned that could have got him out of the whole thing was Parker Meadows took kind of a bad route on that ball. That was usually, to me, that was usually a ball Meadows gobbles up. And that's no big deal. I mean, you're going to take a bad route now and again. He's not perfect. But that would have got out of the inning with the lead.
Yeah, that was poorly timed. I agree with you. He kind of was angling more, and the ball just kind of sailed. He had to adjust at the last second, and it didn't. And I don't know. Who knows? I mean, he probably could have done that better. But it's you can't win all the games. We would like them to, but still the best record in baseball. And even I don't think we've talked since, or at least this show, we haven't talked since the the Cleveland sweep, which it felt like they buried Cleveland for the year, and then Cleveland goes and does what? They go, I think they swept the Astros, or they won at least 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Cleveland, and I'm glad you bring that up, Chris, because there was a tweet that came out earlier that I shared with Chris, and I meant to share with the group, and this was from at Cleveland Guard Perspective. The Guardians lead the American League in games played against teams above 500, with 58 out of the next 91 played on the season. The next 20 straight games are against teams currently under 500 on the season. Only 22 of the final 71 games are against teams. Against teams, or only 22 of the final 71 games are against teams currently 500 or above on the season.
Wow.
So Cleveland's offense. We'll talk about that a little bit too. Like Cleveland's offense, if they can get another bat, I think we'll be fine. I think they haven't good enough pitching. I thought Gavin Williams, that was the best I've seen Gavin Williams pitch at any level. I've seen him pitch Lake County. I've seen him pitch at Akron. And it was the same dominant solid Akron. Like he was really, really doing a good job of changing eye levels. And the Tigers, the fact that they got to Kate, it's funny. Somebody was like, "Oh, well, the Tigers trade for Kate Smith." Oh, yeah, but that's gonna happen. No, come on, folks. Jeez, so Pete.
Sure, why not?
Sure, yeah. Let's go with trading in division.
Jose Ramirez too.
Yeah, while we're at it, yeah. No, yeah. Go ahead.
The Guardians have. I mean, obviously, we know. Generally, they're relatively cheap, so it's not like they're going to probably add bats. But they have CJ Kafis in AAA, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got some power. You got to wonder if maybe they pull him up and give him a shot.
I don't know. I think this is the year they're finally going to take a step back. I know we've been saying that. I've been saying that for a long time, but I don't think they have the offense, Roger. I think that they need if they really wanted to make some sort of run. I think they need 3 impact bats in the lineup because their bottom half is nobody. They've been churning guys over, and Zardo's not doing great. I've accidentally watched a lot of Guardians baseball. Seen 2 wins of Guardians baseball this year.
You purposely did. Mike. That's fine. And I didn't say they had offense. I think they have pitching. I don't think they have enough offense. They need to get a bat or 2 in order to stay head above water, really. And I can't. Head above water. Making your way to good times. Sorry. No, but by the way, I can't help but the Christopher Reeve with a beard and Colt Keith thing. That there's something to be said about that.
There? Yeah,
he has the jaw.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve was a tall guy too. I think he was probably 6'3", right? Maybe
he was 6'3". He was a tall dude.
Yeah.
But Stando makes a good point here. Verlaine made a boneheaded wrong mistake that the Rays, by hitting the cutoff man, exploited and got a bigger inning out of it.
Yeah.
Woo is through 7. So for those who are watching the Yankees game right now, there we go. But no, I got the Christopher Reeve. I got the Christopher Reeve right here. Like, it's just, gentlemen, this is. There you go. I can see pull that off.
That's pre-horse ride. Christopher Reeve.
That's pre-Superman days, actually. That's like right in there. So, and Chase DeLauder has looked pretty good.
I don't know. It's weird. Like I even Kafis, I just feel like even when the Guardians do get these guys, like we talked forever that they don't have enough punch. They're always getting these switch hitting middle infielders who put the bat on the ball but have no power. It also feels like whenever they get somebody with power, they don't work out either. John Kinsey Noel, Friend Reyes for that. And Kafis looks okay, but to me, when I watch him swing, I go, I don't know if that swing's going to work in the big leagues. I think that people could just throw him elevated fastballs, and he won't hit them. But I don't know. We'll see. And Manzardo, it doesn't. I think Mike said, he doesn't look terribly great. DeLauder is a very talented player, and when we watch him, he hits. But
Josh Bell's good one.
Constantly hurt. They have Ralphie Velasquez down in high A, who was I think he was a top 100 prospect briefly. He may still be, but he's struggled this year, except against the Whitecaps. I think 6 of his 12 home runs have come against West Michigan for some reason.
It's great. Yeah. By the way, great movie, Summer School with Mark Harmon.
Oh, underrated. Good movie.
Yeah, underrated. Christy Alley was in that movie too. That's a great movie. Great movie. Great call.
Courtney
No,
Thorne-Smith.
oh yeah, that's right. Very, very young Courtney Thorne-Smith. That's right.
Mhm.
No,
I
but
just
go ahead, Mike.
go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, last game that the Guardians played where they beat the Astros, they have 5 guys with a slugging at 302 or less that played in the game.
Yeah. No, it's
Like,
if Cleveland gets aggressive at the trade deadline, which they won't, they're very conservative. Then we'll see. But I mean, but the one thing about the series with the Tigers and Cleveland that I have, even with the Tampa series, is that the Tigers do need another bullpen piece. I really, really think so. I mean, it's just another swing and miss, guys. There's Dave Bernard from the Pirates. There's talk too that the Phillies are apparently interested in a guy who I mentioned a couple weeks ago, in Dennis Santana. And they're more interested in him than Bernard. But here's the thing, there's I think it was Jeff Passan tweeted out that Toronto's out of nowhere, like just coming, and they're contending in the AL East. There's 15 teams above 500, and so you have to consider right now that whenever the Tigers are going to go for their trade, that they are going to get. I think Harris has mentioned before, this guy that's going to put them over the top. That's what you have to do, because if you're the Yankees right now, you're reeling. You let DJ Mayhew go. I mean, he's kind of done. He's kind of a part-time player at this point.
Yep.
But you're Boston. Here's Boston, for example. What do you do with Alex Bregman? There's a lot of scenario. Baltimore right now is basically, they're donezo.
They made an interesting move today.
They did.
By trading Brian Baker, I think it is, the reliever, for they just got a draft pick, right?
Yeah.
37
overall. Yeah.
So that's fascinating, and something that the Tigers could theoretically do if they wanted to. They have the 34th pick, and it's tradable. We haven't heard any kind of discussion about that, and it doesn't seem like the sort of thing that they would want to do. But I don't know. Maybe if that gets you over the top to land Mackenzie Gore,
Yeah.
give it a try.
And I agree with Bada Boom Bada Bing, he's right. It seems like there's going to be a lot of buyers this year. They're going to have to pony up, and they do. And the Tigers have the ability to do so. And I just think the series was you're playing, and now you have Seattle coming in, and luckily they don't have to. I think Brian Wu made the All-Star game, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But Seattle's rotation is really good.
Oh, they're coming with 3 good pitchers. They got Castillo, Kirby, and Gilbert lined up.
Yeah, that is no slouch either.
And we haven't seen. Seattle was the second series of the season, right? And that was after the Tigers were coming off getting swept by the Dodgers, and then they went up to Seattle and really handled business. They did some damage against everybody but Castillo, I think, right?
They knocked out Ethan Hancock in the first inning, right?
Yeah, it's like 6 runs off him or 7 runs off him or something like that. But here we are.
Emerson Hancock.
And Seattle right now is 6. They're 6 back at Houston, but Houston is just going. I mean, Houston called up their top prospect tonight too.
Bryce Matthews.
Yeah, Bryce Matthews,
Nebraska shortstop. I think he was.
Yeah,
he played with Max Anderson for a little bit.
Yeah, so there you go, and they might be 4 games over 500, but Seattle is a very good ball club. So you have to, because the rest of the division is just kind of garbage. As far as and Stano brings up that George Springer at 35 years old is playing out of his mind for his production. He's right. Is he going to keep it up? Probably not. But Toronto still has enough offense there to be considered. But they don't have enough pitching. I think that's where a team you're going to have to look out for at the trade deadline to do some pitching for their upgrade their pitching staff is Toronto.
I just wonder if Toronto. I think about the Twins this year, and the Royals for that matter, but the Twins especially have had 2 very good hot streaks, right? And they're still a below 500 ball club. And to me, Toronto's in that same realm. So I just wonder, with this hot streak they're on, they look good. Can they keep it going once they get back from the break? I just have my doubts. And as you know, Stando brought up, Springer's kind of old. I mean, how long is this going to last? And as you mentioned, their pitching just not there. So we'll see where they are a month from now.
Yeah. By the way, somebody in your league just offered me a trade, Chris.
Oh, interesting. Is it a terrible trade?
It's Garcia. I would acquire Garcia from Kansas City in exchange for
Michael Garcia.
Michael Garcia for Rafaela from Boston.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a second. But let's go. All right. So since we're gonna do draft heavy topics this evening, we're just gonna go breeze through our segment. So we're gonna go inside the numbers. All right. So, Mike, what is your inside number?
Just something we've talked about, honestly, this show and a lot of other shows, but it's just the number 5. It's the longest winning streak the Tigers have had this year. I almost it's to the point where I almost put money on Tampa Bay in that season finale because I was like, they're not going to win the 6th game in a row. That's just not going to happen. They haven't done it all year. But even if they lose all 3, if they get swept by Seattle, the Tigers are still going to have a .600 winning percentage for pre-All-Star break. It's a 98 win pace. They're kind of looking, surprisingly similar to the 24 Dodgers. I know it's weird to believe, but they only had 2 win streaks of more than 5. It's 6 and 6. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I didn't realize it's actually a lot more common than people realize is good baseball teams don't necessarily ring off 15 straight wins. Good baseball teams win, 15 games over 25 games, and they do that every time. So I just think it's really interesting looking back and pretty much right on pace with any World Series winner, if that matters.
So, Deadly Ninja Bees, real quick, said his inside number is 175. That's how many strikeouts Rob Deere had in 1991. Care to guess how many Riley Green has right now? I would say 110.
122.
I was going to go 130.
Mike?
135.
The old Price is Right model.
Yeah, the old Price is Right. So I think Uber's going to win this, though. I have a feeling that.
Well, that's just the last month.
All right, so Uber, you want to go ahead with your inside number?
Yeah, real quick, since we're going to breeze through them. Mine is just 395. Last week, quick, I mentioned about how happy I was really starting to get into Colt Keith batting leadoff. Nothing that happened this week has moved me off of that position. His on-base percentage over the last 4 weeks is 395, and he's also starting to show some power. 395 on base with power at the top of the lineup. Yes, thank you. I'll take 2. So really happy to see Colt Keith. He's turning on some balls now with balance. Really pretty to watch that swing when he really turns on one. That is some gorgeous. He's let's put it this way. Colt Keith is now a certified bona fide big leaguer. Okay, period. Yeah, he's turned into that guy, and it's been a lot of fun.
Look, Uber. I told you so. I don't like say that very often, but Chris and I have been very adamant. Just wait, give it time with Colt Keith. We've been very adamant about that. And I'll do my little victory lap right here. That's it. It's just he is what because the guy is a perfectionist. The guy works on his craft all the time, and it's one thing that I watched him in the minors. Just the adjustments he was making all the time. It is the 123. So congratulations, Uber. You were off by 1.
Wow.
By 1. Keith and Glaber at 1 and 2 is pretty awesome, and it's both of them taking really good professional at bats. Colt Keith just look. How often do we get this right? You know what I mean? Like it feels good. It feels good. But at the same time, take that away for a second. But he's playing third, and he's playing a pretty decent third too. So the Tigers are looking at possibly having their position filled by the guy that was supposed to play the position originally. So like it's. It gives them a lot more flexibility now what they have to do with the minor leagues too. So depending on what they want to do with Max Anderson or Hyu Lee or Chase Young, that gives them a lot of flexibility with that. Chris, what's your inside number?
Mine is 1.9. which is the Fangraphs WAR of Will Vest over the last calendar year, which is tied with Emmanuel Clase for the 11th best in baseball for a reliever.
Wow.
Now, WAR is not always the best stat for relievers, just because it's a counting stat. You build it for a lot of innings, but that same time it's a 2.18 ERA over the last calendar year, which is the 13th best. It's a 2.51 FIP, which is 15th best. Has 29 shutdowns to 9 meltdowns. Mason Miller has 29 shutdowns in the same span. And actually, if you don't make it just a full calendar year, if you go back to when Will Vest suddenly seemed to find it, if you'll recall, it was in that little league game. People joke about it, but he slid down the hill and hit his head in the grass, and it was like a Doc Brown moment. Like he came into that game in the, I think, 8th inning and struck out Gleyber Torres, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge back to back to back. And since that point, that's August 18th last year, he is 7th in FWAR among relievers with a 1.96 ERA over the last 60 innings. The Tigers accidentally found one of the best relievers in baseball. And he's been that way for a while, and it's still not, he's striking out over a batter per inning. It's not crazy strikeout numbers, but he's just been really consistent and really good. And I don't feel terribly worried when he comes into games.
No.
And all relievers give it up at one point. Tommy Kahnle had that one blow up, came right back out and was good the next game. So it's going to break for him at some point, but
here's a research topic for you, Chris.
Yeah.
A guy who went to another team in the Rule 5 draft got returned. Who has a bigger WAR than Will Vest for the team that got him back?
Oh, that's interesting. I'm trying to remember. Damn, there's a famous one. I have to go back and look at this because there was not Odubel Herrera because he actually did well for
Reed Garrett. I mean, he's doing pretty well right now in the Mets.
Reed Garrett. All right, sorry. I think it might be Shane Victorino. Does that sound right?
I know he was a Rule 5 guy, but I thought that the Phillies found him in Rule 5.
Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, I will look into that and do what I can.
All right.
He's been great, and I'll get him another sidekick, and I think back into the Tigers bullpen would be pretty good. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Is Josh Hamilton?
So Hamilton was an interesting one because he was taken and then traded immediately for Edinson Volquez, I think.
Yeah.
This list doesn't go over specifics. It's very general.
He wasn't. Yeah, there have been a couple players who were taken and then returned and then went on to have very good careers, but I don't know if it's I don't know specifically if that's what you was looking for, but.
So as far as my inside number is 407, and that is the one man who has a higher ISO since May 1st than Aaron Judge, and that would be Cal Raleigh, who has 26 home runs since May 1st. It's insane. To me, it is he's got a Fangraphs WAR of 4.3. And the reason why I wanted to mention too is because Diggler's having a really good year. And I had a chance to talk to him last week about him trying to hit like his approach to play, pick up spin more, what have you. There's a couple things. But Cal Raleigh is just, the big dump. What do they call him? The big dumpster? The dumper? Yeah. And there was a really weird angle the other night where the Yankees were closing in on his ass, which is like, okay. But you want to the Tigers have, Seattle's offense has been him and just, it's cool to see. The reason why I think it's cool is because it reminds me of like classic, like in the 90s, he's already got 35 runs. Is that right?
I think 36.
36 home runs.
Yep.
Yeah, we're seeing some really historical numbers here right now, and he's coming to Comerica Park, and to me, it's cool because we've been playing a lot of these teams that don't have like that big bopper, and here he is recently, I should say. Tampa doesn't have a guy like that. Cleveland doesn't either. Outside of Jose Ramirez, him and Steven Kwan, like those guys are like the ultimate, like just nails, just the ultimate thorns on the side for the Tigers. But Cal Raleigh will be in town this weekend, so I'm looking forward to watching Seattle. Anytime Seattle comes in town, they're always an interesting team to watch. So we're gonna skip the good, the bad, the ugly this week because I really want to. I mean, unless you guys want to do the good and bad, or you guys want to go right in the draft talk?
I can tell you. Well, we'll just do this real quick. If you were to pick out the best power hitting team in baseball, what would you pick? Who would you pick?
The best power hitting team in baseball?
The best power hitting team in baseball.
Dodgers came to mind first.
Like balance across the board?
Just team hitting for power.
Oh, Tigers?
The last 30 days, it is the Tigers. Well,
Nice.
the last 30 days, the Tigers have the highest ISO and highest slugging in all of baseball, second most home runs. It doesn't feel like that to me, and yet there they are. So that was my good. The rest, I was going to mention Joe Coleman.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, if you guys have any more interesting good, bad, and uglies, you can drop them now.
Drop them. Just drop them real quick. The reason why I do want to mention Joe Coleman real quick because he passed away, and he was interesting because he was a guy who the Tigers picked up in the trade for Denny McClain in 1972. He was a guy that was kind of the other arm that they picked up essentially with Aurelio Rodriguez, who ended up playing third for a while for the Tigers. But Eddie Brickman was a shortstop who ended up also managing. I'm sorry, 1971. He won 20 games his first year, and he was very effective. But the thing is about the reason why I want to mention his 1972 season is because the 1972 team, led by Billy Martin, managed by Billy Martin, you talk about guys who were really bad for pitching rotations. Billy Martin was one of the worst because he ran those guys into the ground. They essentially, because of injuries, they picked up Woody Fryman.
Yeah.
But they basically ran a 3-man rotation, and they ran Chuck Seablack, Fred Shillman, and John Hillard into the ground. John Hillard was still relatively new at the time, but still, they barely had anybody. And Coleman bulked up and took 280 innings. I mean, he was a guy who gave up 23 home runs, but he was a very good starter, and he put up some really good numbers here while he was in Detroit. In a weird transition period for the Tigers. This is a team that was getting older, and he really kind of helped them stay afloat competitively until he was traded to the Cubs or signed with the Cubs in '76. But either way, his lone All-Star representative season was in 1972.
There you go.
I don't know. I just thought I had something that I thought was a little interesting. It's kind of similar to Chris's. Do you guys feel like center field has just become? I feel like it seems like more and more we're seeing a bunch of crazy defensive plays in center field. Fangraphs actually did this really interesting article that basically points out that it is actually statistically true that we are living in the best era for center field defense. And I don't know, it just because I was thinking about how, like, listening to the broadcast, Dickerson was just talking about how the Rays just have always, and they always do have a really good defensive center fielder. And the Tigers, we look at Parker Meadows as having the same, and it just got me thinking, like, is it actually true? And since baseball started in the 1890s, 1900s, since they really tracked it, center field has more or less been consistently just steadily becoming a position that is a premium defensive position. And right now, the WRC plus of all center fielders is under 95. So it's just really interesting to think about that. I guess we think about shortstop as kind of being that kind of position, the premium defensive position where you don't need to hit as much. But I think center field is just becoming more and more that position. And I just thought that was a little interesting, so I wanted to share it with you guys.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
It is interesting. Yeah. Denzel Clark and Pete Crow Armstrong and Ceddanne Rafaela are all putting up crazy outs above average numbers this year. And Parker Meadows is just hanging out with 2, but he hasn't played much. But yeah, guys can go and get it now. Center field has always been a premium position, right? A glamour position, if you will, going back to, for a long time, like Willie Mays and stuff like that. But I'm thinking like Ken Griffey Jr., who are coming up, and Andrew Jones. But yeah, that's interesting to see. I wouldn't have guessed that it was turning into an all glove, no bat position, but it actually doesn't necessarily shock me. So
What's crazy is left field and right field are all at like an all-time low in terms of defensive value. So
just let the center fielder go get everything.
Well,
yeah, right.
I was gonna say maybe a guy like, for example, Gary Pettis comes to mind too, because Gary Pettis was more glove than field, or more hitter. He wasn't much of a. I'm not saying he wasn't much of a hitter, but he was like a 250 hitter.
Yeah, I mean, there were, I think of great center fielders from when we were growing up too. Like Devon White was a very good center fielder. And even 15, 20 years ago, Torrey Hunter was an amazing center fielder for a while until he got older. And Vernon Wells was pretty damn good center fielder before
Carl Crawford.
Carl Crawford always played. I thought he always played left for some reason. He was super fast, but that's one of those weird situations where like Rajai Davis was more of a left fielder than a center fielder, even though he was incredibly fast. Like some guys just don't necessarily have it.
Yeah.
Juan Pierre, I think, was mostly left field. Maybe he was a center field. In any event, yeah, there's certain players who are kind of good. But one thing I wanted to mention, while we were talking, I looked it up, and Jonathan Mayo has done an article about the best Rule 5 picks who were returned.
Oh, okay.
And we've got some interesting names here. Fernando Vina.
Huh?
The Mariners took him in the 1992 from the Mets, but he got 45 bats and they sent him back. And then he was part of a trade later and, went on to have a solid career. This is the guy I think I was thinking of, Ender Inciarte.
Yeah.
He was taken out of A-ball by the Phillies, and then they returned him. And then he went on to have a very good, defensive outfielders. He put up a lot of great defensive numbers there for in Arizona and in Atlanta, I think, was it?
Yeah, it was so. Atlanta. Yep.
And then you've got Nestor Cortez and Jordan Romano. So those were some interesting names. I would think Vest is kind of in that Romano category.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I was looking at the Shane Victorino story, and he actually was taken in the Rule 5 and returned twice. He was with the Dodgers originally. And the who took him, the Padres took him, and they gave him, looks like it says he played 36 games for the Padres, hit 151, and they returned him to the Dodgers. And then he spent 2 more years in the minors, and the Phillies took him in the Rule 5 and returned him, and the Dodgers were like, you keep him. And so he went back, and then he went on to have a great career. So that's just kind of wild.
Yeah.
And the last thing before I monopolize all this, I feel like this might be a decent segue here is when we talk about Joe Coleman. Joe Coleman was the 3rd player ever drafted. He was in the original 1965 draft, the
Rick
3rd
Monday.
overall pick. Rick Monday went 1st overall. Les Rohr went 2nd overall to the Mets. And Joe Coleman went 3rd overall to the Senators out of Natick High School in Natick, Massachusetts. And
Nice.
went on to put up 23 plus WAR. Not bad. So kind of interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got 2 quick ones. I'll start with the ugly. One, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned Sandy Alcantara was starting to show some good stuff and maybe would make himself a trade target. Scratch that. He has now allowed 18 runs in 17 innings over his last 3 starts. And he's looking like the troubled pitcher that he was early in the season again. So I think he's going to just stay in Miami and work on things. My good was kind of a fun story. I thought it was fun anyway. Maybe people won't. I'm at the hospital in Iowa City with my son yesterday. He had an MRI, not an emergency thing by any stretch. He was fine. He's fine. But they wanted to do an MRI. And he was coming back to the room and waking up from anesthesia. And the nurse, the recovery nurse, and I were talking. She noticed he had a Philadelphia Phillies jersey on, 1993 throwback, Darren Dalton, beautiful jersey. Anyway, I'm wearing a Tiger shirt. And she goes, "You're a Tiger fan?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." She goes, "I watch the Tigers." Are you kidding me? This random nurse in Iowa City, Iowa. She goes, "Yeah, you know why?" I go, "No, of course I don't know why." Jason Benetti. She's like, "Jason?" I was like, "Really?" She goes, "Her and her husband evidently loved Jason Benetti. They used to listen to him and Steve Stone all the time. And then I was shocked. She's kind of made the move to watching the Tigers because of Jason Benetti. So she watches them at least twice a week, and she roots for them now. So who knew that they would pick up a fan because of the TV announcer coming from another
No,
city?
my
That was kind of a
my
fun
friend
story for me.
my friend Sarah, who does she hosts trivia around the area, and she's a former U of M Dearborn grad too. Like she will she goes, I know you're in the press box, and you ask Jason if he's single, and I'm like, I'm not I'm not gonna ask him that. But they but I mean, she's joking, of course, but some of it's also like for real. But he is that's the kind of impact he has on the game itself. But it's a much more entertaining broadcast, and essentially, when you get Dan Petrie to sing "All we do is win," then you're doing something right, and that's what I'm saying. Jason, he's like the ultimate. He's like Jason Benetti's like John Stockton. He can set up anybody. He could run the point. He's very good at doing that, and it's just like I know people. There's some people out there who think he talks too much. I don't know. Those people are stupid. Have stupid opinions. It's the Tiger. Like right now, the Tigers have the best. It's just we're really living in a weird period right now. Weird for me that they have Jason Benetti, Dan Dickerson, and one of the best teams in baseball, all in one thing. And you know what? Hey, pound the chest. That's awesome. And they're going to be on Sunday Night Baseball again next week, or on the 20th. So there you go. Can you shoot the three? Kevin, I think Jason Benetti can shoot the three. I think Jason Benetti would be like Chuck Person, like the rifleman. You know, like
nice.
Yeah, there we go. The rifleman.
Person. Vernon Maxwell.
Vernon Maxwell. I don't think it would be Mad Max, but no.
That's wild. I just that's funny. There are a couple things that just popped up. I just realized our old friend Francis Romero just tweeted out that Aroldis Chapman became the third ever reliever to strike out 1,300 batters, joining Goose Gossage and Hoyt Wilhelm. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. And the other thing, Thomas Zapucki is pitching for Toledo right now. I missed that he came up from Lakeland. They bumped him all the way up to Toledo. So
was he rehabbing, or he's just?
Yeah, no, he's a former big leaguer.
Yeah,
I just thought he might go to another couple levels, but he's already back up in Toledo. So
yeah, I mean, you said he would be up here soon.
I tweeted out a little while ago that don't be surprised if you see him in Detroit. He's a lefty with a really interesting curveball and mid 90s fastball. It's mostly like 93. I don't remember what he threw in his heyday. Probably harder than that, but he's been interesting so far. Although he gave up a run today. But Devin Smeltzer went 5 scoreless.
Wow,
Smeltzer,
yeah, the guy with the hippie hair and everything. But just don't do yourself a favor. Never call Jason Benetti, former Cleveland or Jazz guard, Matt Harping, because that's not fair. Much better. He's much better than Matt Harping. Matt Harping's not that good.
I feel like this is a pointed comment directed at somebody who is a big Matt Harping fan, because
I know somebody who has a Matt Harping jersey and they're proud of it for some strange reason. So
if you didn't go to Georgia Tech, why would you be a Matt Harping fan?
Because he's probably he's I don't know,
his cousin.
They play for their hometown team. So yeah. Anyway, that's all right. So you had another one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just had those 2 quick ones.
Okay. All right, so with the remainder of the show, I do want to talk a little bit about the draft, as the Tigers have the 24th, the 24th, 34th, that is accurate, and the 62nd pick. And there is, of course, I like Stan's theory that they're going to go 2/3. It's going to be prep and probably go. I think they're going to go pitching heavy. I'm just sticking my neck out there a little bit. I think they might go pitching heavy because. And Chris mentioned this earlier on Locked on Tigers, which you'll be able to listen to tomorrow, that they can develop pitching anywhere. And I really believe that. But I think there's enough arms in here that have some really interesting upside that could potentially be more impactful sooner than later. And so under the Tigers development machine. But so some of the names, we can go around and talk about 4 or 5 guys that we like, and then we just kind of go from there. I can talk about some of the bats I like is Gavin Feen, who is a right-handed hitting third baseman out of Great Oak, California. I also like Cruz Schoolcraft, the left-hander Yeah. Oh no, wait. Go ahead. Tell him, Chris. Tell him the story.
No, we were talking with Scott Bentley of when we were doing the Locked On Tigers, which again you'll be able to hear I think after midnight tonight. He said,
Yep.
And Raj called him Scuzz Schoolcraft, which I thought was just the coolest name.
Scuzz.
Which is I mean it's KRUZ, so I mean you gotta do something interesting with a name like that. You can't be Cruz Schoolcraft the accountant. But Scuzz would have been even better. Anyway, continue.
So Tigers are projected a lot of Slater, DeBrun, and I think Slater is a good pick. Would be a good pick. But as far as I like, is that the obvious pick? Probably. I mean, but at the same time, one guy that Chris and I were both big fans of is Casey Cunningham. His bat ball data is really good. I like Malik Houston too, the shortstop out of Wake Forest. And then as far as a obscure bat, like Quentin, I mean, I'm not sure, but Quentin Young is a guy who I really like the upside of that. But Chris was mentioning a bat, I'm sorry, and one more pitcher, the pitcher out of Iowa, Uper Cade Obermiller.
Obermiller, yeah.
Obermiller, really.
Hawkeyes, yep.
Yeah, love that. I really like that guy a lot. I think under the Tigers tutelage he'd be really good. But Chris,
third round,
maybe. Yes, third or fourth round guy. I think a guy who would go through the system very quick, and he throws good velocity, and he mixes stuff really well. And he's left-handed. And but Chris okay. So I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but the name you mentioned earlier, I started looking up his data after we got off the phone. We're done with Locked On Tigers. The outfielder out of Illinois, Chris. Talk about this guy as a potential sleeper for the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, he actually just got mocked to the Tigers with the 34th pick by Jonathan Mayo. And the first time I really took notice was I think Kylie McDaniel had him mocked to the Tigers with the 34th pick as well. And it's Jaden Foskey, who's another Illinois kid, I believe, who is committed to LSU. But for a long time, he was considered like the top catching prospect in the prep class. And high school catchers are like the riskiest demographic, even more so than high school pitching. For whatever reason. But the thing is that Foskey just kind of stopped catching. He's mostly been an outfielder, and I'm sure teams would love him to catch, but I think he wants to hit and play in the grass. And there's some really intriguing batted ball data from the showcase circuit. Like he made a ton of contact in the zone, and he hits the ball really hard, and he's 6'3", like 200 pounds, good body. He's actually an above average runner. Like he would have been a great runner for a catcher. But he's probably good enough. Like they may give him a chance in pro, but you see him, he's got a man body right now.
Yeah.
They may give him a chance to play center, but it's probably a right field profile ultimately. But yeah, what you're buying here is the bat and the power, which could both, they both could be above average down the road. And I don't know, that would be a really interesting player to get at the 34th pick to me.
Yeah, his size. I mean, he's a massive kid, man. Like, you just forget this. Big. Yeah.
For me, I've been on Cruz Schoolcraft all year. I've been following him for probably almost a year now. I just intrigued by the 6'8" frame from the left side, and the high velo. You've seen some whispers that he wasn't as good this year as some people projected, but I think when you're that big, it's probably just comes in fits and starts before we really, one depends on who he gets as a coach and a bunch of other things. But there's a lot to dream on there. I also kind of like that they say he's a draftable hitter with a lot of power if the pitching doesn't work out. So, I would, and all the mock drafts have him going in, say around 20 to 25, right where the Tigers are. So it's not outrageous to think that he could be there. If these guys know what they're talking about. The other one I like is Casey Cunningham, you already mentioned. I like Sean Gamble, some of the video that we've seen on him too. Looks like a guy the Tigers could work with. What's the other guy? Is it Coy James?
Yeah. Coy James, yeah, that's a good one too.
A lot of power potential there in that bat, I think. So that seems like a guy the Tigers could be interested in. But if they go college, you've seen them connected to Riley Quick a lot with the 34th pick out of Alabama, big hard thrower. That guy could move fast. But the one I really like is Caden Bodine, or from Coastal Carolina, the catcher. That kid, I watched Coastal Carolina play 3 times as they went to the College World Series. And again, that's a small sample, but he looked really good behind the plate. Contact hitter, might develop some power. He looks like a ball player to me. And I know people are going to say, well, you got Dylan Dingler. Well, so what? You need 2 catchers, so that's fine.
Yeah, I feel like Bodine's going to go a lot higher. Like you see him ranked, what is it, 30th or something like that on Pipeline? I'm looking right now, 32nd on Pipeline. I feel like he might go top 20.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, when you're looking, if you want a college bat, you're one of those teams that likes, doesn't necessarily like to go after the high school hitters. You got a switch hitting catcher with some of the best contact skills in the draft and projects for an above average defensive profile. That's, the ceiling might not be terribly high, but that's probably just like a 3-WAR player right off the bat, like just by with the defense and the contact. So yeah, I mean he would be really fun. He does like the profile, the contact and the defensive ability and up the middle profile does fit kind of what the Tigers seem to like to do, except we haven't seen them, and it doesn't mean that they can't. We haven't seen them go after a catcher basically at all. Like they seem to want their catchers in as undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
Or they took a kid out of Puerto Rico last year who hit his first career home run today, Gabriel Rosado. Good for him. But yeah, that would be an interesting pick for sure, and I wouldn't hate it. It's not like that super flashy. Like I said, it's not going to be like, oh man, this is going to be a top 10 prospect in baseball down the road. But he's going to be a solid big leaguer, I think, for sure.
Another guy too we mentioned earlier was Josh Hammond, the third baseman out of Wayland Christian in North Carolina, and his pedigree behind him too. I was mentioning this earlier. I love a right-handed power bat. That's what I want. That's ultimately what I would think that would help this team out. And there's a couple of those available that are going to be possibly in later rounds, but early on too. I like the reason why I think Hammond would be a good idea for them is because if they end up making a trade, then it fills in there. But also I think that the upside is there. Between him and there's another too. There's a lot of also later on in the draft, a couple of outfielders that could go. Like I was talking about this earlier too. Like as far as like outfielder, the gentleman from Indiana that I was mentioning earlier, and I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden on him.
Dickinson, Corbin
Dickinson. Yeah. There's Devin Taylor too, the other outfielder from Indiana, in Indiana too. As trying to think of like another, there's Henry Ford, who is more like a classic Tiger throw. Like that's a classic Tiger, like old classic Tiger draft pick. If Henry Ford was around, that'd be a guy they just draft because big, strong, 6'5" guy. That
Henry Ford comes to Motown. I mean, that's a Disney movie. I mean, come on, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
and he's he's one of the younger college players in the draft, which is always fun. But in Virginia, they used to like to take guys out of Virginia. Daniel Pinero, where have you gone?
Yeah, I forgot this local kid too from Novi, Uli
Frenzler.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing I heard about Uli Frenzler, and maybe I'm violating all sorts of HIPAA restrictions here, was that he was really moving up draft boards, and then suddenly he did not pitch in the Michigan playoffs. And the last thing I heard is he's got some sort of condition where he had to have surgery on both of his knees. So if I would not be shocked at all if that's true. I would not be shocked at all if he doesn't get drafted and is off to college.
Yeah. Another two is another arm that because where he is in the as far as like upstate New York, he's out of New York City, is Miguel Simi. That's another I like that arm a lot.
Hard as hell.
Yeah.
I think he was with IMG. Was he playing with IMG?
He was with Poly Prep in New York.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, whenever you dig into these drafts, always some really interesting players. Sime's a guy he's probably the hardest throwing high school player. Marcos Paz is a guy I think you mentioned in your pitching article.
Yes. Yeah.
2 years ago, he was the number 1 or number 2 pitcher in this draft class from the high school ranks, and then he blew his arm out. And so now he's kind of like there's just some question marks there. but he's a guy that you might be able to, you take him a little bit later, give him a little extra money, and suddenly you have a super talented player, in an area that he never would have gone before. And then there's is it Angel Cervantes, who is like, if you're one of those teams like Cleveland, yeah, Angel Cervantes, he's very young. He fits Cleveland to a T. Good size, doesn't throw terribly hard, but really knows how to pitch and has all the pitches. That's like a classic Cleveland pick to me, where you take him and you figure out a way to add some velocity, and suddenly you're got a really good player. I've mentioned a couple times, I don't know if I did it on air, and I confused this guy with Obermiller, is Appenzeller, who is a 6'6" lefty out of Illinois. And so he gets kind of compared to Noah Schultz, and you look at him and he's super skinny. He looks like Chris Sale on a hunger strike. But when I watched the PG Classic last year, he was super impressive. He just jumped off the screen to me. He was, like I said, 6'6" lefty, and he was just sitting comfortably at 93, 95, like he was playing catch. It looked like the easiest mid-90s fastball you've ever seen, and it came with a high-spin slider. It looked great. But then, you read the capsules this year, and his velocity's been like in the upper 80s. And so I don't know what is going on there, but that's a guy that I would enjoy getting into the, in the development team, depending on what's going on with the velocity.
Yeah, and there's a couple, and some of the velocity spin guys. There's a lot of those ones in the draft, and the reason why I went kind of all over the board with the pitchers is because I think I look at the Tigers and how they've been able to take some of these third pitch that is and make it better and make it into a viable weapon. I mean, is Gage Wood going to be there? No, I don't think so. But a guy like you guys mentioned Jack Bauer earlier. Another kind of arm that a lefty out of Texas is Johnny Sladinsky, who may not have he needs more physical strength, but he is one of those guys the Tigers will pick that velocity doesn't matter. If he controls the strike zone, that's what he has that ability too. Another reliever, a guy who I think the Tigers should draft and would be a reliever that can make up pretty quickly, Tyler Franklin out of Tennessee. So there's a couple arms I think that could come in and help out right away, and maybe that's just me just projecting really loudly, but I don't know, there's just some of the college, and then of course Luke LaCourse, the right-hander out of Bay City Western, who is
Spin Monster.
Spin Monster. And the Tigers haven't picked a local kid since Jerry Toby.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was
really?
like 20. Yeah. In terms of a pitcher wise.
You do wonder if they're going to take Chris Illich's son. Or if they're going to let him go to Duke. I don't know. That'll be interesting.
Pick 20.
I mean, I really like the high school pitcher Landon Harmon as a guy who could have a huge ceiling. He's another big kid who throws very hard, and it's like, do you believe in your pitching development, and what can you do with these high school kids? The Tigers have not had great luck with their high school pitching picks lately, so maybe they change course here, or maybe they just stay with it.
Have you seen much of Riley Quick?
I have not. I believe he was an offensive line recruit, wasn't he? He's a really good athlete, but it was like he's a giant man.
Yes.
And I think the story with him is he throws very hard, but it's a sinker. And so it's the Tigers have no problem taking guys who have sinkers, but it's maybe one of those profiles that doesn't necessarily excite a lot of teams, because I don't think he struck out many people in college. At least at a rate that you would expect from somebody going in the top 40 picks or so.
I've been watching a little SEC baseball lately. I don't know if you guys talked about it. I'm sorry, I dipped out for a second there.
It's all good.
Zach Root is somebody I'm interested in, just because he's I don't really know. He's projected to go anywhere in the 30s to the 50s or 60s, but he's a day one guy. I kind of think he's he's probably outside of the best ones. He's like the next best, like the next tier of left-handed pitchers. He threw a lot of strikeouts. I know actual team performance doesn't matter, but he's on a really good team, and he was just, I don't know. And I'm saying this about a guy from Arkansas, which matters to me. I hate Arkansas, but he's just really competitive, and it seems like he could have a high ceiling, I think, just as a strikeout guy.
I
like it.
I've seen Zach like mentioned in that possibility in that the same area as Quick and like Patrick Forbes out of Louisville. And there's one thing we didn't really discuss with Scott Bentley was one of the storylines of this draft is all the good left-handed college pitching at the very top. We didn't touch on it because none of those guys are going to be there for the Tigers.
Right.
They might all go in the top 5 picks. But there is some interesting college pitching depth in this draft. So that's one area where we were saying I still think they're going to go for a couple prep kids, but it wouldn't shock me if one of those first 3 picks is a college arm to go along, maybe even to try to get a little savings if possible. But there are a couple college arms that I really like. One of them is Malachi Witherspoon, who's the twin brother of Kyson Witherspoon, who's going to go top 10. Malachi, they say he has exactly the same stuff. He just doesn't throw as many strikes. And so he's going to go in like the 4th round. I'm like, well, okay, take the stuff and figure it out.
Yeah.
And the other guy I really like is Cam Leiter, who is of the Leiter clan. His dad is the brother, I think, of the one brother who didn't make it out of Alan and Mark. And he was a guy who was at Central Florida and then went to Florida State. And he was looking like he was going to be just a dynamic 1-2 punch with Jamie Arnold. And then he got hurt. And but when he's healthy, he's got some of the best stuff in the entire class. It's just people are a little bit scared by the medical, and he didn't throw a ton of strikes. But, you know, if you can get him in the 2nd or 3rd round, you're getting a potential top 10 overall talent if he's healthy and reaches his ceiling. And that would be a fun guy for me to, take a flyer on.
Another arm you guys mentioned that wasn't lefty that maybe like a 3rd or 4th round possibility is Brian Curley. Did you guys mention Brian Curley?
No.
No, the closer. It was closing for Georgia for a while, and then became a starter. Yeah, I mean there's Jared Spencer too, who transferred from Indiana State to Texas. But I mean he had shoulder surgery, so that's a guy maybe take a waiver on. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Maybe just avoid arms altogether that are not being injured.
They're all going to get injured eventually.
No.
Yeah.
It looks like the strength of the draft up top is the lefty college guys, but also high school shortstops, which, is the best high school athletes are almost always shortstops. That's fine. But there are so many that are getting bandied about in the top 15. You almost got to believe if the Tigers want to go that route, somebody pretty good should drift down to 24. And I think that's where Kason Cunningham gets into the discussion. If he's the guy left out of the top 15.
Yeah. If you follow these sorts of things, everybody, it really does seem like he's falling into the 20s. Like he's going to be there, it sounds like. Whereas, JoJo Parker has kind of solidified himself as a top 10 pick. Eli Willits is probably going to be in the top 10. Ethan Holiday, of course. Billy Carlton is considered the best defensive shortstop in the draft. He's going to go. You keep seeing him linked to the Marlins. Daniel Pierce is a guy that seems like he's going to go top 20. Steele Hall. So yeah, it's like you said, there's like half a dozen of these guys that are going to go in the first 15 picks or so, and then there are more. And yeah, Cunningham seems to be one of the better ones. I think there's enough doubt about his ability to play shortstop and hit for power that teams are a little bit wary there.
He looks a little thick for a shortstop.
He does, yeah, it's shorter and thicker, and I think most people believe he's going to be a second baseman. But he consistently gets named the best high school hitter in the draft class, and usually that is a pretty good track record. The caveat there we talk about is Termar Johnson, who was considered like a future 70 grade hitter with surprising power, and he just hasn't hit in pro ball the way anybody expected. So there's all guys can always flame out, but like at the 24th pick, I think you take the guy that you really like. If you like Kason Cunningham and think he's going to hit, hell yeah, take him at 24.
So Mitch thinks that, by the way, shout out to Mitch we had on the show. We had him on the minor league report on Monday. He said he thinks Pierce can make it to 24.
I think that's possible. He's in that group that second tier, along with Cunningham. And I'm trying to think, there's you see some other names like you mentioned Sean Gamble. I think he's probably more of an outfielder, but he has played second base and shortstop, I think, and even third. And then there are other names you see, like you keep seeing Dex Kilby mentioned in this range. I like Tate Southacene. He's a fun guy who may also be an outfielder, but he's got a really strong arm and really kind of, I think it reminds me of like Zach Neto in terms of the way he just plays. It's like really aggressive and everything he does. But yeah, like there are 20 interesting high school shortstops who could go in the top 60 picks, maybe more like top 80.
This is a very deep infield draft. But like I said, there's also, I like, okay, so Night Owl, I like what he said here. So he said he's pulling for Xavier Naines or Quinton Young. I agree with Night Owl completely. We're on the same page with adding that kind of power. Quinton Young would be, I wouldn't mind seeing him in maybe pick 62 if he's still around. Xavier Naines, I know we talked about him on our infield show, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mount Ver, again, he has that kind of like that build too, like that 6'4", but he looks like a man. I mean, his is like a beast, and so we'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to this draft because it is kind of more of an unknown element to it. And I was saying on Locked On Tigers that I think it's crap that the Angels got the second pick overall because. Are they gonna stick to their tried and true strategy of getting the guy that's gonna be readily available to come? Because I guess they were rumored to be picked. They were interested in Bryce Rayner before they went with Moore.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that seems to be like the lock of the draft is whichever left-handed pitcher is available. If it's Cade Anderson, they'll take him. If it's Liam Doyle, they'll take him at pick number 2. They could throw everybody for a loop and take a high school player. There's been some like whispers of Eli Willits there, which would be kind of wild. But I think their dad, Reggie played for the Angels back in the. But yeah, I just assume that they're going to continue that route.
I think for the Tigers, I see them going high school in round 1, but I think that round 2 pick, again, they've been linked to Quick a lot. But when you talk about needing power. And I know he's a left-hander, and everybody kind of wants right-handed power, and he's a first baseman. But boy, I saw Andrew Fisher play a lot of baseball. Mm-hmm. The guy never has bad at bats. I mean, this year I think he struck out like 40 times in 300 plate appearances, hit 25 homers for Tennessee.
That's a good call.
On base percentage somewhere near 500, I think. And I know it's easy to put up gaudy numbers in college, but man, like I said, the guy never threw away in a bat. He scared you every time he walked to the plate. And I hate Tennessee baseball. I always root against them. They're my boogeyman of college baseball.
Did Steve Searcy hurt you, Uper? Is that why?
Tony Vitello, just the worst.
Oh, okay, I was going to say former Tiger pitcher Steve Searcy, who there's an award named after him at the University of Tennessee.
Okay.
So I was trying to make an obscure Tiger reference there.
I like it. No, but Tony Vitello is just the worst. I can't stand. He's just horrible. And again, that's the umpire in me talking because he's hugely disrespectful. I mean, he's a piece of shit. Let's face it.
Oh, wow! We're gonna wear a swear word from Uper there. Ooh,
I know.
No, I'm saying that's saying something if you're swearing.
Swear, yeah.
He's Aaron Boone level whiner.
Yeah. So Andrew Fisher is my guy. If they surprise us with a college guy at 34, I think he'd be my guy.
That would be fascinating because it's one of those things where you don't take the college first baseman, right?
I know.
And then it's like, oh well, would you like to have Nick Kurtz right now? Probably. Yeah. He looks pretty good. But it's one thing to take that college first baseman in the top 5, right? Another thing, if you're getting them at 34, I wouldn't necessarily hate that. I had heard I think it was a Baseball America podcast where everything you say, everybody agree with it. Like, yeah, he's got a great approach and he's gotten, he hits the ball, hits for power, but like his underlying metrics were not great with Wood apparently. Mm-hmm. But again, we heard the same thing about Kurtz last year. We heard that he couldn't hit anything over 92 miles an hour.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
So who knows? There's a lot of obfuscation and subterfuge and legerdemain and whatever else is going on here at the draft.
By the way, I traded Aaron Nola for him in our league, Uper. So for Nick Kurtz.
I went to pick him up. Somebody picked him up off waivers like 10 minutes before I tried to.
Yeah, and then they're like,
I know you got him. I know, and you never trade with anybody.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know why I don't trade with anybody? Because in our league, it's one person that makes it worse. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, well, I need some pitching, so I'm going to hit you up.
Yeah, but yeah, well, I mean, you gave me a deal. He gave me a deal. I'm like, you want injured Aaron Nola? Go for it. That's fine. I got enough pitching. It paid off. So anyway,
fantasy minute here.
Yeah, fantasy minute. No one cares. Let's end the show here.
All right.
So Sunday, 6:00 over at Tigers Minor League Report YouTube channel or on Twitter on Tigers Twitter. You can find us streaming live. We'll be going live starting at 6:00. Myself, these three fine gentlemen, and I can't count. Ashley C will be joining us from San Diego. She's out in San Diego watching baseball, doing things, and she'll be joining us. Scott Bentley will be here. Nick from Woodward Sports will also be stopping by, and we might, I'm gonna hit up Ray's from Prospects Live. He's always good for a spot, and so. Jacob Lewis, what college blonde mullet kid are the Oilers going to take? Uli does have a knee injury that Jake wanted to know. Thank you, Night Owl. Appreciate that. It's a great show, and yeah, we'll be broadcasting live for 3+ hours on Sunday, and then don't forget to hydrate. Yes, yeah. If I'm the pool thing is going to be there. What's up, Chris? What happened?
Sorry, the Yankees ended up tying that game.
Wow. I was going to say I was waiting until it was over, but. Tied in the bottom of the 9th, and they're about to win it in the bottom of the 10th. Yeah.
Oh, damn it all.
Damn it all. But we're also, we always say stay classy, everybody, and we mean that. But Sunday, we're like every year from here on out until we stop doing this, we're always going to dedicate that show to John Kloss, because John Kloss was part of the All-Star. Was part of the draft show a few years ago, and him and Uper did a really good job hosting. And if he was here, he would still do the same thing. He'd still be, but it would be him and Mike and all that. And I think him and Mike would be arguing. I don't know why, but I always think that John would be the type of person that if he say something, Pat would go, really?
I always appreciated though that John never backed down. He was never disrespectful with his opinions, whatever, but he always had some supporting facts for it too. So yeah. I always miss the Flying Giants, and always thinking about him. I think I'm going to think about him when minor league baseball season starts every year forever. I think, unfortunately, because of the sadness. But definitely around draft time and the NBA draft too.
Yeah, I mean, right now he would have enjoyed the Pistons season more so.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That would have been.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's go. I know, you would have.
That would have been like a daily bowl of ice cream for him, man.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. And remember, he was trying a beard. So I think, him trying a beard was, very, Colt Keith-like. So.
Colt Keith, I say go for it, man. He's been really good. So.
Yeah. Colt Keith can do, he can do whatever he wants. Stay close, everybody. We'll see you Sunday. Have a good night, everybody.